What's up, people? This is Sports Debate Tuesday. This is episode 46, and the episode starts. Let's get them ready, Rob. Let's get right. Episode starts right now. This is episode 46. This is Sports Debate Tuesday along with Rob. Keep it McLean. I am Jason Demetrious. And for old school's sake, I gotta say, I got to give the people what they want. What's good, bro?
What's happening, my man?
All right, cool. Let's get cracking. We got a lot to talk about. We got Jaylen Hurts put on the show against the team that nobody wanted him to start. Like all of the experts are like, "Why are you gonna do this to Hurts? You're gonna traumatize him forever." Oh my God, it's the Saints. Oh, don't do that to him. He's supposed to be a rookie. He's supposed to be your future. Don't do it. All right, so we're gonna talk about Hurts and the Eagles beating the Saints. We're gonna talk about, is there a team out there living and breathing that could stop the Kansas City Chiefs? UFC, big event once again. Did not disappoint, and for the first time in a long time, everybody's paying attention to the 125-pound division. Plus, Rob, keep it McLean is going to tell everybody who's a problem in the UFC as far as fights that stuck out. You got a problem. But first, hey. Hey. Let's go, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. The Buffalo Bills on Sunday defeated Pittsburgh Steelers. The 11-1 Pittsburgh Steelers, now the 11-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. Pretty good game, above average game by pretty much everyone in Buffalo, particularly the secondary. They were really good. Josh Norman's back. Pittsburgh Steelers had Juju Smith-Schuster. Claypool's a problem. All of these guys are pretty good. Connor was back from COVID protocol. And Pittsburgh started out really strong and then finished flat, which is what, and if you watch the Buffalo games like I do, Buffalo's the one that starts strong and finishes flat, but it was kind of the other way. So, Rob, my question to you, Pittsburgh lost to the Washington football team last week. They lost to the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. What happened? What happened to Pittsburgh this weekend?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll even say for the last week, against Washington, really hard to game plan for Alex Smith when you never haven't seen him for 2 years. That's one thing. This week, I think it's just great defenses played against each other, right? I think both offenses are really solid, but they're not the calling card of their team. Buffalo, their calling card even more. And I saw that this week, and I have to give a shout out to their defense because everybody talks about their offense, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs putting in 130 yards, like, wow. The good, solid running game. But their defense is just stud. Their secondary is just stud. And, for me, all I saw was great defensive teams with a couple things happening on either side. And then Josh Allen he just played really solid ball. Like, really solid ball.
So impressive.
The only really interception, a tip, I feel like that's happened in every single team this year. Every single quarterback, there's been a couple tipped interceptions. So I don't put anything on him on that. But, it's just really good football, a really good defensively played game. And I think it showed that the Bills are in prime position to beat even the Steelers. I think they're a perfect matchup against the Steelers. And I think that would happen 8 out of 10 times.
All right. As to the question of what happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Rob McLean, I think it's just like you said. The Buffalo Bills happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, for the last 5 years, you looked at Buffalo and you're like, oh my God, they can coach defense. Their defense is stout. They're kind of Patriots a little bit where they bend but don't break on their worst day. And they always stand tall when they have to on these goal lines and these 4th and shorts and 3rd and shorts. And it's like, oh my God, if only they had a quarterback. If only they had a quarterback. And then we get a quarterback, and now we're winning more games than we lose, right? And then we're like, oh, man, if only we had like that true number one wideout. Boom, get some money. We pay Stephon Diggs his money. Stephon Diggs comes through, man. Diggs came through big time. 10 catches, 130 yards, and a bang, and a score off that 23-yard touchdown. And then they're like, oh, my God, if we only had a running game. And Buffalo didn't look for that feature back. They had McCoy for a while, right? And he was their feature back. But you notice championship teams, they usually have a 1-2 punch. You know, if you remember the Giants teams, the Giants had 3, right? They had
Yes,
Jacobs,
sir.
they had Ward,
Denzel. They had Ward, and they had
yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
gosh,
I was just trying to,
Ahmad Bradshaw
yes, Earth, Wind,
came
and
in the
Fire.
fourth quarter.
But hey, but good
Killing.
enough to get to the 2 Super Bowls, good enough to beat the what we know was the best team, one of the best teams ever assembled in that first Patriots team. I mean, they had talk about complete package with equipped with a good coach. So the Buffalo Bills happened. Mike Tomlin knows the Buffalo Bills really well, but Sean McDermott knows Mike Tomlin very well. They were college teammates. A lot of people don't know it, William and Mary. And there's something about 2 coaches that know each other that watch a ton of videotape that made this game, Rob, interesting from the first play all the way to the last. There was no feeling out process. They went after each other. The defense took chances. They went after, and it was this great game to watch from the first quarter to the last. Now, you can tell by the hat, I might not be completely objective about this, all right? So I might disqualify myself. But to answer that question, the Buffalo Bills happened, all right? Pittsburgh, I think we both can concede overachieved, starting 11-0. Do you agree? So
Absolutely.
you knew the L's were going to come, particularly the good teams. I didn't expect it from Washington because I didn't even think Smith played a great game. I just thought their defense took over.
Exactly, reinvigorated, and yeah,
And they won
somebody else
again.
did
Didn't
that
they win
this
again?
week and showed you. Well, I just think somebody else did that this week. Even Tua Tagovailoa did that 3 weeks ago. And just even though their team wasn't playing bad, they just galvanized the team. The defense is saying, finally, my quarterback's playing good. I can play defense and it matters. It changes a lot. It really does change a lot.
Yeah, and sometimes it's about personnel, man. We
Totally.
actually let's we're gonna jump to Kansas City because Miami played Kansas City, so we'll do that second
Yeah.
instead of third. I know it's about personnel and people having the ability to do it, but I think they laid a blueprint how you can at least slow Kansas City down. Their defense was, oh my God,
Dude,
Miami's defense balled out. I know. Listen, they gave up 30 straight
running
points.
defense
but,
is
yes,
ridiculous.
yes,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. Man. So let's shut the door on Buffalo and we'll segue into Kansas City. So the second question is, Kansas City after trailing 10-0 scored 30 straight points, eventually held on to win at the end, I believe 33-27, and. It was really, to me, it was more of, we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs now, but in this instance, it was more about Miami's resiliency to not lay down and die just because the Chiefs happened, right? You remember last year in the playoffs, they were down 24-0, and then in a quarter, they answered that question, and like a quarter.
Absolutely.
So the question, Rob, is, can anyone stop the Kansas City Chiefs and their path
No.
to the Super Bowl? Go ahead.
For me, when we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, no. I think the only team that's going to stop them is themselves. With Chris Jones, oh my goodness, just taking on anybody and everybody and getting to the quarterback. And then you have whoever the heck's behind him, which is everybody. You have one of the most explosive offenses I really have ever seen. And it's still a young quarterback with a young crew of wide receivers. So the ceiling is still incredibly high. So when we're talking about longevity, no, I don't think anybody's really going to come and take anything from Kansas City unless they give that to them. But I have to give a shout out to the Dolphins because yet again, and if you could just watch all their games, they play such good, hard-fought football. And my most important thing is defense comes first. Their defense looked unbelievable. And the Chiefs still put up 33 points. Their run defense was crazy. Other than the fact that, they could have secured a couple more tackles. They were 3 around the ball every time. Xavier Howard with a one-hand over-the-head interception, that's ridiculous. So, on all levels, they played unbelievable. And for me, Christian Wilkins, one of their best players in the line, he wasn't even one of the best guys on their line that day. So, this defense has a ton of potential, and that's only going to give the ball more to Tua Tagovailoa, and he looked fantastic. I love what he's almost going to start changing the game in the fact that he's running plays and he's getting the ball out of his hands so fast there's not even, you don't even need to rush. You don't even need to rush. He's literally 2 to 3 seconds after a read play option, he's getting rid of the ball. Like, you got to wait for the play option, you got to wait for the run, and you got to wait for the pass, and then he's getting the ball out within 3 to 5 seconds. I mean, that's just like elite, very, very elite. And then it's coming out from the left hand. So it's almost like defense is just leaving the left side of the field open because he has nothing coming in on the right side of the defensive line. Man, it's pretty crazy to see that, you know, he looks like a very seasoned elite quarterback. But even still, you know, they put up a ton of points. They played a really tough game, and Kansas City just cruised on through. So I really don't think I see anybody but Kansas City in that Super Bowl game. And then when it comes to the Super Bowl, anything can happen, you know. But
the NFC's
I
got
see Kansas City.
Yeah, listen, I see Kansas City securing the AFC and getting to the Super Bowl. And as far as winning, maybe the Saints get good at the end. Maybe Aaron Rodgers, who is showing he's the real deal, because all he needed was a few weapons and a pretty decent coach. Seattle, you know, never count them out, even though they've looked flat lately. The answer is no. The answer is no. I remember a year ago I was watching Williams break one on a score running back, and like the metrics people were gauging his speed. He was running 22 miles an hour,
Right.
and got caught up. And bringing up the rear, catching up to him was not a defensive back, but his own wide receiver, Tariq Hill, caught up to him in the end zone to celebrate, and probably didn't even know he was going that fast. This dude's doing 22 miles an hour, and the only human being faster than him, besides those guys that run the 100-meter dash on that elite level, was Tariq Hill. And that was last year when they were getting to know each other.
Okay. And not even saying, Williams is the third fastest guy on that team probably. You got Mecole Hardman, who's almost as fast as Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's ridiculous.
They have a very good 1-2 punch in their running game. They have a 1-2-3 punch in their passing game. They have a quarterback that's mobile and fast enough. I wouldn't think Mahomes got speed. No, I think he's got mobility, and I think he's got a good first step. He's already like a whole length of football, a whole human length ahead of people before they could catch up. So yeah, he's got quickness. That's what it is. Twitch reaction quickness.
And he's tall too, man. He's tall, long. Yeah, he's just prototypical.
A quarterback that looks up the field while running too, while creating time. So because a lot of times it looks like he's going to break one, and then, you know, the guy who's supposed to spy makes a twitch move. Boom. Next thing you know, he's throwing. Very similar to Lamar Jackson last night. Shit. Can we not talk about that? Do we not go through this episode without talking about that? We can't. But to answer your question, no. To answer our question, no. No one's going to stop them from getting to the Super Bowl. And I actually think they're going to be repeat champions. I think Andy Reid the reason why their players respect him so much is because he found a way to be a disciplinarian and at the same time still treat people like men. You know, it's that kind of coach. He's basically Rex Ryan that can coach offense and defense. you know, he's the 2.0. So, but no.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
No, I was just saying he probably just took away Rex's mouth and put that onto the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, because nobody's going out of their way to beat the Chiefs because of Andy Reid, you know, right? Like,
but you
coaches
know
like Rex, they put
there.
A target on their back, right? You're like, oh my God, anybody but this team, you know?
That's so interesting though, because he's had such very like gunslinger type quarterbacks his whole like, you know, Donovan McNabb, you know, that you got Patrick Mahomes, even Alex Smith. He's not a gunslinger, but he tried to make him a gunslinger. You know, in Kansas, and I feel like that's why it didn't work out because he's just such
12 games
check down. Yeah, but 12 games, like they won 12 games in the regular season. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to the playoffs, it's just a different style. Like, but hey,
Rob McLean, you are a New York Giants fan. You talking about it's just 12 wins for the regular season? You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm just saying. Hey man, it's not always the 12 winners that win the Super Bowls.
Listen, please just check the NFC East. I think whoever wins 7 games is gonna win. And the weird thing is with the Eagles with that tie, would we even be surprised to see them with the half point because of the tie? 7-8-1 could make them NFC champs. So
yeah, that's bad.
So before we get to our main football topic, we have to talk about last night's game. The Baltimore Ravens The Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. And I'm exhaling because all three of us, me, you, Torrin Jeffries, who was our NFL Pick Six guest, the guest versus the host things, all three of us were 5-0 going into last night. I picked the Browns because I needed to catch up, but and I had to swallow. I had to drink and spit because Baker Mayfield rubs me the wrong way, and there'd be no other reason I would ever pick the Browns to beat the Ravens, especially after the Ravens lost to them a year ago and probably promised themselves they'd never let it happen again. Mm-hmm. And what happens, Rob? The Browns are up. I'm on my way to 6-0. I got my little drink here. I got my little fruit in here and the vodka, play with my Buffalo Bills shirt a little bit. And what does this dude come out? I was listening to Buju Banton. Do you know who Buju Banton is? Reggae artist? Buju Banton is one of the top 2 reggae artists ever. And when I say reggae artist, I mean dancehall reggae. I don't mean smoke weed. I mean going to that basement party. Go to that basement party and everyone making a monkey face the way they dance it because it's so extreme. So Buju Banton, I'm listening to him, and then I start talking like him. So bear with me on this, and I start talking like him. So they're down by 1. McSorley gets hurt. And the 2-minute warning comes, and I'm like, them boys done know. I said, them boys are done know, right? They're done. You know, right? You see? So, and then Lamar Jackson come running out of the locker room. I said, look at that boy run out the room. Why that boy run out the room for? Why he run out the room for? And then he comes, and then he runs. It looks like he's going to run because, right, 4th and 5, you think he's just going to do the easy thing and run. And then in stride, he throws and hits a touchdown pass. Runs right, throws left. Big no-no, touchdown. And I'm like, well, the boy come out the room like Superman. The boy come out with a cape on his back. He come back again with a cape. And I'm like, oh, man. I said, no, I can't take it no more, man. I turn off the TV. I lost again, boy. I lost again. What'd you think of last night?
Oof. I mean, like I said, this week has been full of fantastic sporting events, and I think this is just like cherry on the top. I thought that the Browns had that game in the bag, and Baltimore, honestly, I picked them, but they seemed like they were really flat the last couple of weeks. I was very hesitant to choose them, especially with the Browns coming off a big victory. But you know what? This really doesn't surprise me. The Browns, they're still, a team from a year ago who, played terrible, all around. So I love that they're playing good football right now. I love that the guys who are supposed to be playing good are supposed to be playing good. But it takes a whole team. And I think it shows that Baltimore has a whole team behind them as opposed to the Browns where they're starting to pick it together. They're starting to get it to go. But, there's still some building left to do, to keep a consistent winning standard, let's say.
Yeah.
And I think for Baltimore, just whether it's John Harbaugh, whether it's the, environment, whether it's just, the culture they have there, they don't need Lamar Jackson to be successful, but they need Lamar Jackson to win, right? Mm-hmm. So I just think that
clearly.
It just showed.
Clearly.
Yeah, it just showed that. I mean, even McSorley kind of looked decent, Like he looked like he was solid, until he got hurt. And then, Lamar had to come out and do his thing. But I think it just shows that whether it's the defense, whether it's the wide receivers, the running backs, the O-line, the D-line, everybody's got their mind set on the right goals.
Yeah. The Ravens.
And I think that's said for it's really big for an elite team.
Yes. Listen, the reason why we're talking about it is because this is as close to a complete team as I've ever seen Cleveland. You got Myles Garrett leading the defense. You got a 1-2 punch on the running backs of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Odell Beckham Jr., no touches for him, more touches for Landry. Higgins came through. So you got a lot of these guys coming through. Baker Mayfield, as much as I don't like him, if he doesn't play with that chip on his shoulder, with that edge, I don't think he's as good as he is. So, I can't be mad at him. He's got to do what he's got to do. I mean, when Lamar Jackson scored with 152 left, you thought it was a wrap. And Baker was like, no, it's not. He scored too. His only problem was he left 101 left on the scoreboard for Jackson. So we have ourselves a real conference rival from the team that used to be called the Cleveland Browns, who are now the Baltimore Ravens, to the Browns reinvigorated. But 9-4. Ravens are 8-5. Ravens were actually the number 8 seed in a 7-team playoff picture. So you knew they had to get going. You knew they had to get going. So big up Lamar Jackson. By the way, 9 rushing touchdowns total for the first time since 2004. So big up to them on that one. And
Jeez.
yeah, Baker Mayfield did really well. Last topic for football before we go to our NFL pick 6. Maybe we're just beasts from the East, because here we go again. We want to talk about the NFC. We want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Jaylen Hurts in his rookie debut got his start against one of the most vaunted defenses certainly this season, but looked very much like the Saints of old when they were headhunting and bounty getting people.
Mm-hmm.
Ends up pulling it out, Got a few good plays, hung on to win 24-21. I think the Saints got one at the end, from 24-14, and then failed at an onside kick. But your thoughts on Jaylen Hurts? And the topic question, Rob, is, do you start him for the rest of the season?
So, love the game last night. Again, I hate watching a professional team and, they just don't come out to play. And I'm not saying that has been Philadelphia for the last couple of weeks, but it seems like when Carson Wentz starts doing his Carson Wentz thing, the team just loses a lot of hope and it becomes difficult. Like if you're in a sporting event and you have two sides to the ball and one side's just not showing up, why would the other side want to, take on that brunt? And I get why they should, but why would they want to? So yeah, when I look at that team and what happened this week, it is absolutely 1,000% sure that Jaylen Hurts should be starting. And Jaylen Hurts could have had half the points and half the yardage that he had. If they even lost by 7 points and they played football the way they just played football, Jaylen Hurts should be the starting quarterback of that team. And I'm not saying that Carson Wentz is a worse quarterback or doesn't have it anymore or, can't do it. And I'm not saying he should change scenery, but as an organization, you need to start thinking about what's the most important thing. Is it more important that Doug Peterson made it to one Super Bowl and won it with a whole different team and he's your guy? Or are you going to stick with your franchise quarterback who you spend all that draft capital on and win Super Bowls in the future? Because I think in the short term, Jaylen Hurts absolutely is the starter, and he absolutely should play the rest of the season out, because whatever Carson Wentz was doing was not football, and it was not professional football, and it was not starting quarterback professional football. But at the end of the day, the ceiling for Carson Wentz is 1,000 times higher than Jaylen Hurts. And I'm not saying that Jaylen Hurts isn't going to be that guy. He could be that guy for types of teams, but he needs to have somebody that believes in him, somebody that's going to build around him, and he will absolutely be successful. I was astounded last night by all of the good stuff that I saw from him. So what I really would love to see is, a clear, concise decision on what's going to happen with Carson Wentz. Either if they sit him this year, they better start looking for trades. If they don't sit him this year, they better start looking for Jaylen Hurts to get moved somewhere, because he is a valuable commodity. So it's just going to be really interesting. But I have to say at the end of all this is the Eagles looked like a totally different team last night. And like I said, win or lose, that's how you want a football team playing. No doubt.
Yeah,
all right?
And especially in a place like Philadelphia, where they're just looking for people with heart. Listen, Philly's not booing Carson Wentz, which is rare, because they booed Donovan McNabb at the draft before he could even throw a pass. So for me, I say yes. You got to go with Hurts for the rest of the season, because projectively you don't see Carson Wentz beating the next few games. I'm actually going to pull up their schedule in a minute. But you don't see Carson Wentz winning. They have with 3 games left. You don't really see him winning 2 out of the 3. And you do see Jalen Hurts up with a possible chance of winning 2 out of the 3. You didn't see Carson Wentz beating the Saints, and you didn't even see Jalen Hurts beating the Saints, which is an incredible game for him. I mean, he did ball out. It's the first time the Eagles have allowed a 100-yard rusher in 55 games.
Right.
The Eagles have not allowed
108.
the Saints have not allowed a 100-yard rusher in 55 games. And Sunday night, 2 of them did.
I mean, 108 by a quarterback?
Yes. Yeah, 106, yep, off of 5.9 yards a carry. Miles Sanders chipped in another 115. So the Saints ended up giving up 2 100-yard rushers when they haven't given up 100-yard rusher in 55 games, Rob. So you got to go with Hurts for 2 reasons. One, you draft him the second round. I said last week he was the first round. I was mistaken. He's the second round. But if you draft him the second round, and when there were other available options to build your defense and maybe strengthen your linebacking core, you chose this guy. You need to see if he's your guy. At some point, Rob, you need to see if he's your guy, right? The second reason is they owe it to Jalen Hurts. Since he's won, he delivered on the Saints thing. They owe it to Jalen Hurts to be able to market himself in case they stay with Wentz and don't keep him. So it's a win-win situation for the Eagles, right? Like if they lose, at least they know he's not that guy, and at least Hurts had a chance to market himself. If he wins, and if they have a quarterback controversy, which you're not going to have until the end of the season, you're not going to have a quarterback controversy with the Eagles unless they make the playoffs. If he doesn't, it's not a quarterback controversy. They're staying with Wentz. That's my projection. But yeah, to answer the question, I'm with you on this debate show. Yeah, start Hurts the rest of the season. I think they play Washington one of their last games too, so they can easily take the division title in light of the fact Washington's in first, and I think the Giants are in second, and the Giants and Washington are in third, and the Cowboys bringing up the rear.
As always, as they should be.
That's where they belong.
I mean, don't put all your money into wide receivers. That's just ridiculous.
Oh man. Well, listen, guys, that shuts the door on NFL for a bit, at least for now, until a quick question. But for now, we're going to the UFC. UFC 256. Davis and Figueiredo, sorry. Actually didn't beat Moreno. Beat him up for a little bit, but Moreno held in. Very good technical boxing by Brandon Moreno.
Technically he won. Yes.
Well, they battled to a draw.
Well, it was a draw, but it was. I believe it was like a weird name of it, but I believe he won by 1 point. But it was a draw, but he won because he was still the champion.
Well, it was a majority draw, and Figueiredo won because he's a champ. One judge gave him 48-46. And the other 2 judges went 47-47, which but the question is for this, who really won that match? And I'd like to go first on this. Rob McLean, I believe neither of them won that match, and I believe both of them won that match. I believe it was a draw. I believe them taking a point away from Davison Figueiredo was righteous. You know, he already poked him in the eye, and he got warned, and then that shot square to the nutsack was just was something.
Bad. But you could tell he held back a little bit, but he definitely hit him square.
Imagine if he didn't. But
oh man,
I thought it was the right decision. You take a point. That's a 9-9 round because I thought Figueiredo won that third round. I gave 1 and 5 to Figueiredo. I gave 2 and 4 to Moreno. And I thought the third one, Figueiredo would have won, but the nut shot took a point. It was justified. And that'll be that's going to be on one of our quick questions I'm going to write later about fouls and how we feel about that stuff. Mm-hmm. So both of them lost because the fans really want a winner, but both of them won because they're going to run this back.
Yes.
And there's going to be more fan participation, and then there's going to be more purchases on the pay-per-view. And now at the lowest weight class, which are not really main event worthy or pay-per-view worthy things, it has become pay-per-view worthy, man. You got a Mexican with a lot of heart that refuses to go away. You got a Brazilian with a chin that you could drop a truck on him and he could just keep taking these shots and just keep going forward, just walking you down. How many times do you see flyweights walking people down like that. How many times you see flyweights that have one punch knockout power? I mean, if you watched him fight Benavidez and some other people, the dude is dangerous. And he took the fight 21 days after he defended his previous title match. Won by guillotine. No damage. Told Dana I want to fight again. So, Rob, who won this fight?
Well, the whole fight happened, and he got a point taken away. I have to agree. I think it was the right decision for the judges to call it a draw. But I still, if we're just talking about straight up, I'm gonna fight you. No scorecards. Who won that fight? I mean, I would put it to Figueiredo. But I'm absolutely impressed and kind of floored by how Moreno fought. Wow. And I just think that Davison didn't really not take him serious, but he didn't put him at the level of where Moreno really is. And I don't think anybody really knows what that fighter really is until you step in front of them. But man, that kid, I don't know, maybe he moved down to like a weight class, so he got a stronger chin, but he was taking shots everywhere. And it wasn't even like he was taking them and rolling with them. He wasn't even flinching. Yeah. He was just like, it hit him and then he was swinging. So
man, I want these people drug tested. Crazy.
Yeah, that's true too.
It just take someone's best shot and you just smile,
and just walk
it down. My God,
and this is why it doesn't make a lot of sense for me. I feel like the UFC should have pushed flyweight a lot earlier, because those guys can take a lot of shots, and when you're a fan watching. And this sounds terrible, but you want to see people hit each other. You want to see things land, and you want to see amazing skills and like crazy things happen. Yeah. And, not trying to take it too back for the past, but Demetrious Johnson was the most exciting fighter in the UFC, bar none. I'm sorry. That was in the time of Anderson Silva. Yes. That was in the time of like Chael Sonnen. Really, GSP. That was in the time of John Jones, of his prime. GSP, like in the beginning of the end of GSP's run. I mean, this guy is, and he did want some of the most amazing things right before he got ousted, let's say, in the UFC. So I like that word ousted because
I like the word ousted because how that went down. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think that Figueroa probably I see him winning that fight. But I agree with the draw as it was scored. And when it comes down to the rematch, I think it'll be a much bigger difference this time.
I think Figueiredo will be more prepared. Yeah,
way more prepared and way more aggressive at the right times. I thought he was like we were talking before, a lot. It was just too relaxed. Almost. And this is almost a problem I have with Tony Ferguson is like he's not in the moment. It feels like
I was so sad, dude.
And he's so smart. He can be so many places with his mind, but he's not here, and that's where I felt like Davison Figueroa was. He's thinking about his next fight. He wants to fight Triple C. He wants to, this guy, I'm just going to, beat him real quick and then move on to my next opponent. Nah, man. And that's where you get mistakes in the UFC. Happened to Johnny Walker. I mean, it happens to all these guys, man. Like, you cannot take anybody for granted. And what I saw there was Figueroa got away with taking somebody for advantage. So I just, that's how I see it. And I love to see that next fight.
I want to see the rematch too, man. I mean, there were some submissions too. I was pretty sure neither of them were going to escape from. I saw some hard shots. I thought neither of them were going to survive. I've seen some beatdowns. I thought neither of them were going to get up from. And it's my fight of the year candidate. And again, once again, I'm a prisoner of the moment. But I can't maybe come back at me next week and ask me the same question because
there's a lot of people that agree with you on that one.
There's also a lot of good fights coming up this week too, man. Stephen Thompson's always impresses me. But I felt bad for Tony a little bit. Tony escaped a nasty armbar, I think, a submission. I thought
that was crazy. And that was the first round too. So that's like, but just the energy was,
I never thought I'd see Oliveira go up a weight class and literally lift people off their feet and throw them around. I never saw
Crazy.
him. I never perceived him as like the strong fighter. You know, when you think of strong fighters, you think of those Division One wrestlers, like those elite guys like Kamaru Usman or Kobe Covington. You know, Tyron Woodley when he was doing his thing. You know, he had some pretty good slams. Or Rampage Jackson. Strange, all African American. What the hell's wrong with me?
This
Matt
guy
Hughes.
Gray Maynard, he
Yes,
had one of the
Frankie
craziest.
Edgar.
He
Yeah.
knocked himself out trying to throw somebody on the ground. You gotta remember that.
Emerson, yes.
Oh,
Emerson,
man,
he
that was
he
crazy.
DDT'd himself a little bit on the
They
slam.
both got knocked out from that. The
It's not
color of the
funny.
draw.
It's not funny. So Rob, what match 256 stuck out for you the most? Which one? What do you want to talk about?
Ooh, the starching of all starching. I have never seen a grown man get knocked out on his knees in a legitimate professional fight. That's one. But even in a street fight, you know what I mean? And on top of that, he wasn't even knocked down by getting baptized.
He was
He
sitting on
was
his
on
butt.
top of the guy.
He was
was
yeah.
on top
He
of
had
the
bottom
guy.
position.
Oh my goodness.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Well,
for those of you guys listening, we're talking about Kevin Holland against Jacare Souza. And when we say Jacare, we mean a guy
he just
can
fought
take a
at
shot.
heavyweight.
The
He
dude-
was fighting at
Light heavyweight, yeah.
light middleweight.
Light heavyweight, yeah.
I mean, light heavyweight. Yeah.
Yep.
That's insanity. And he just came down. I mean, it's crazy that he's even able to fluctuate that much, you know, so I got to give him that. And I have to say Souza has been on, you know, not the best, you know, fight streak in the last couple fights. And he's fought a lot of tough guys and he's got hurt in a lot of tough ways. But the way that he just lost was not his fault.
Yeah.
Like he was doing everything right. He wasn't getting hit while he was on his feet.
Had top
know,
position.
he had top
and you know
position.
he's a good grappler. His jiu-jitsu.
Yep,
If you ever
moving
watch
well.
the Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments, he's an absolute savage. And
He's a
you're right. He's on
monster.
the 3-fight losing streak after Kevin Holland. His last win was light heavyweight. He fought Chris Weidman at light heavyweight, I think.
Yeah, and Weidman has had his issues as well. So,
But listen,
even
but
that's-
consider this: Jack Hermanson is a savage. There's no shame in losing to him. Jan Blachowicz.
no,
He's
absolutely.
a champ. He's a champ right now. But so those losses I saw coming.
Yeah.
But Kevin Holland,
Well,
a sit on your
listen,
butt KO. He
That's-
did
yeah,
it
that's
sitting
crazy.
on his behind.
That's crazy. But I think it's just, you know, a horrible matchup for Jacare. I think it was just a matchup to see what Kevin Holland weaknesses could be. And once Kevin Holland, once like the fight was understood that Kevin Holland's not a slouch on his back, you know, and I don't think anybody should even think that. But if they thought that, they found out real fast. And then, you know, on his feet, he is just a savage, man. Like the way he hits somebody is not the way that people want to get hit. I don't even care if, you know, it's a half swing. He is connecting and hurting people. And he's a thin, lanky frame. Man, he is scary.
Dude's a problem.
And just the way that he put out Jacare Souza, I didn't think Jacare thought he could have been put out like that. I mean, he hit him with one shot on his back and starched him to the point where he just walked up and then started hitting him from the standing position down to the floor.
Yeah.
That's just insane. Like bent him backwards over his knees. That's my fight of the week.
Yep. All
But
the way from the Contender
Kevin
Series too.
Kevin Holland, man, that guy is gonna be something.
He's a problem,
Gonna be
dude.
something special.
But all the way from the Dana White's Contender Series.
Mm-hmm.
So I say good for him because he was like the big mouth. He won his fight in the Contender Series, and Dana's like, no, if I sign him, I gotta listen to this guy's mouth every day. Nope. And then like 10 days before a fight, he was looking for someone, so he dipped into his apple tree, you know, to look for a fighter, and no one from the Contender Series said yes. And he's like, let's call Big Mouth and see if he wants it. And they called him. They called him up, and of course, the guy puts his money where his mouth was, and he fought Brandon. I think he fought Brendan Allen. No. Who did he fight? He fought Thiago Santos. That's why no one wanted to take that fight. That's why. No one wanted to take that fight. That's why. But he lost unanimous decision. But Dana's like, you know what? I like people that pick up the phone and say yes. And since then, he's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's been 8-1. He lost to a rear naked choke to Brandon Allen. But look at this lineup. Joaquin Buckley, remember the guy with the spinning kick, which we call knockout of the year? He KO'd him. Anthony Hernandez, big crap talking, welterweight that moved up, knocked him out. Ontiveros, these are tough competitors. And Jacare, of course, even long at the tooth, you ain't trying to mess with him. So big up to him. My match of interest was Cub Swanson, because I wanted to see if Cub still had it. If you look at Cub's lineup, Cub is 27 wins, 11 losses. And to some people, like, that's a good record. Oh, it's not a great record where he only lost 3 or whatever. But a lot of those people that only lost 2 or 3 or 0 losses are the GOATs. Or they pad this, or they're stat padders, okay? You look at Cub Swanson's lineup, man. Crone Gracie, Artem Lobov. I didn't mean to mention him. Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar twice, Jeremy Stevens, Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, who he beat by knockout, George Roop, Ross Pearson, Ricardo Lamas. So big up to him, because I seen him wear out people, but you never really saw him start someone with one punch. And it was really good. It was a good feeling for him to know that if you hit someone in the right spot hard enough, got him. So Cub Swanson was my match of interest in that pay-per-view.
What happened to the fighter? And did the other guy get like injured at all? It seemed like he was kind of
Pineda.
Pineda.
Nah.
It seemed like he was injured, like walking around when I watched the fight. But
I think maybe he got checked on a kick. Sometimes you get checked on the kick and you just
maybe that was.
Yeah,
it definitely seemed like he was not walking right.
Well, for the people listening at home, that's on the prelims, man. You could just watch that again
for free.
ESPN's very good at airing that, and they're actually really good at airing pay-per-views like a month later too. So big up to ESPN and UFC and this and that. And my last question before we leave MMA: does Figueiredo or Moreno beat Demetrious Johnson?
You want this one first?
Hell, yeah, the answer is yes. I'll go first, and my answer is hell no, he doesn't. Hell no, he doesn't. Take everything Figueiredo does. The only thing Figueiredo does is he has more heavier hands than Demetrious. But Demetrious Johnson is a precision striker, which is just as important as a power hitter. He hits you in the right spot. It's equivalent to being getting hit by a power. Take Figueiredo's grappling game, take his wrestling game, take his slips, his in and out striking, and his kicks. Magnify it by 1.5 times. I give you Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson, who starched Benavidez as well, who starched freaking Cejudo with a body kick. Okay, Cejudo won the rematch on a split decision, which I thought was BS. But the problem was the UFC did such a bad job marketing him, they were willing to trade. It was the first trade in mixed martial arts. They traded him for
7-second Askren.
7-second Askren. Ben Askren. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we drafted a lemon. But Askren got his Askren kicked, because if you look at the 3 fighters he went against, right? Damian Maia, you're a wrestler going against a guy with 8 tentacles. That's not right. Masvidal already previously knocked out Till, so you knew, oof. And then Robbie Lawler, which is a fight I thought Lawler probably won, but Herb Dean let him fight on. And then he wasn't out, right? I think Askren won because Dean thought Robbie Lawler was out, right? He wasn't out.
Yeah.
It was like a bulldog.
It's like
choke.
he didn't put out Askren, but Askren put him out with like a freaking choke.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
All right, question. Go ahead. Does Figueiredo or Moreno beat Demetrious Johnson?
Beat? Absolutely not. Does Figueiredo deserve to fight against Demetrious Johnson? I would say yes.
Ooh.
I definitely would love to see that fight. And I would just have to agree with you on Figueiredo's physical attributes are off the charts for that division. So I honestly think that he and Triple C would be a better fight. But yeah, I mean, no one's beaten DJ. I would love to see, Triple C and DJ fight again. But, even for me, I have to at least give some ode to Henry Cejudo.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I would just have to say that, DJ, I just think he's different than all those other guys. Like he changed that division, and he's just, I just think that the age may be a problem,
Right. Cool. So listen, we got an event coming up this week. Let's just pick the top 5. Let's do a quick, like a bang round. I'm gonna show the picture,
Okay.
and we'll go from the main event all the way down to the for the whole card.
Hell yeah.
All right. Stephen Thompson against Jeff Neal.
Mm. I gotta go with Thompson. Just to play it safe. But
I'm going
Jeff
with
Neal,
Thompson.
that's a fighter.
I'm going with Thompson. Aldo against Vera.
I'm gonna go with Vera.
I'm
I
gonna
like
go with
Vera.
Vera. Pierre Pereira against Chaos Williams.
Chaos, will you? I'm gonna go with Pierre Pereira.
Me too. Marlon Moraes against Rob Font. Ooh.
I don't know.
Ooh. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Rob Font. I like my name.
Marcin Tabora. I'm gonna go Moraes on that. Marcin Tabora against Greg Hardy.
Oh man, I don't think I could go against Greg Hardy, man. He's been killing it. But I'm gonna go with Tybura.
I'm cheering for Greg Hardy. I'm picking Tabora. But his, as far as redemption song, I'm cheering for Hardy. Anthony Pettis against Alex Morano.
I gotta go with Pettis, man. I mean, he surprised me.
Pettis surprises a lot of people, and I don't think it's going to be a surprise when he wins. I'll pick Pettis on this one, too. Ooh, look at the top of that. Sarah Eubanks against Panic and Kianzad. All right, we ain't going there. We got to move on.
Yeah, we can't go that far.
Come on. Come on. We're supposed to be a 15-minute show. We're already on 50, and we didn't even do the pick 6. My bad, Rob.
Yeah, you good, man. You good.
Dude, the games were just so good. So good, dude. All right, so this is our section of NFL Pick 6, and we're going to go over the results from last week. This is Torrin Jeffries. Torrin Jeffries finished 6-0. Rob's finished 6-0. Both of you guys picked the Ravens going into Monday night. Me, I had to defer to try to catch up, I finished 5-1, which, considering how I've been this season, I feel like 5-1's a win. Because these are the overall results. I am trailing 38-31. You kept pace with the guest. You're one game behind the guest, and only because you and Torrin picked everybody else, and you really had to, right? I mean, both of you guys are 6-0. You would have been behind if you took a chance. So you did the right thing, Rob. 6-0.
Yeah, I mean, I got to take the chances for the other weeks.
Yes. So this is our guest this week. Our guest this week is, Kristen Nuss. Kristen Nuss plays for a Division I program, LSU beach volleyball team. They were ranked number 1 before COVID shut them down. They're ranked number 1 now. And she has decided to do our pick 6. She's a Louisiana girl. She was state champion, all-American candidate, all this, best team of the year. Her record in 2019 was 33 wins and 4 losses for her pair 1. She had a Goofy Foot as a partner, and now she's got a different partner now. Yeah, she lost to Gradina and Bustamante in the semifinals in the Battle of the Goofy Foots. The only difference is Bustamante's Goofy Foot's going to the Olympics. That's Tina. She's representing Latvia, so she got a bid. She got a qualifier spot. So big up to Nuts for participating this weekend. Let's go over the games. We got game 1, Rob. Let's take a look here. We got Bills at the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going Broncos. I'm sorry. I'm going Bills. Yeah, unless there was a spread, might go Broncos because they surprised me last week. I gotta say, but I'm going.
Listen, this is not a major promotion yet, okay? But when we get up there, eventually, like the higher ups and whoever we partner up with, they're gonna have us drug tested to make sure, okay? So I want to make sure you know that, Rob, before this whole thing blows up. No, I'm going with the Bills. Look, I was right 10 out of 13 times. I like my chances again. And even though Denver's a hard place to play, Buffalo's no stranger to playing in hard places. Got to go with Buffalo. And Kristen Nuss is going with the Bills. Cool. All right, game 2, Rob, of our pick 6. The Chicago Bears visiting the Minnesota Vikings.
Do you want this one first?
Oh, I go first. The question is, do I trust Trubisky? Hell no. Not against Minnesota. Not when that coach has wrongs to right. I'm going Minnesota.
Man, I was going to do the same thing until I'm thinking about Kirk Cousins, man. I just can't stand that guy, and he gets sacked too much. So I'm going to go with the Bears.
You're going with the Bears. Cool. Kristen Nuss is going with the Vikings. That's Kristen Nuss going with the Vikings. Cool. All right, game 3. What do we have here? We have the Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks visiting our Washington football team. You're first.
I think the wheels go back on the train this week, and Seattle definitely turns it around. So I'm gonna go Seattle.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, and such is the same with the Seattle Seahawks. They know that they're in this deep division. They know the Rams are on their tail, and they know if they allow it to happen, Arizona can come back. And again, this is a division that can furnish three teams or only one. They got to be careful. So Seattle's going to win. I think push comes to shove, I'm always going to go with Wilson, Seattle. Kristen Nuss is going with, let's see, she's going with the Seahawks too. Oops, sorry about that. Game 4, I'm going to go first on this one. It is the Patriots, the New England Patriots visiting the Miami Dolphins.
Oh,
Woo! Listen, if you check the records every year for the Patriots against the Dolphins, past history, the second game, because they play each other twice, if you look at the record of the second time every season the Patriots play the Dolphins, you'd be amazed or maybe not. I go for Dolphins on something that we don't even consider an upset this year. I think that defense gives Cam Newton fits, and I think there's a changing of the guard as far as fresh mobile quarterbacks with Tua Tagovailoa. I'm going Dolphins.
Agree. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Dolphins as well. They, have been fantastic this year. I really love what they're doing on defense, and Tua, man, I just can't say enough about him. So, yep, I'm going with the Dolphins here.
Cool. And Kristen Nuss, she's going with the fish. She's going with the fish. All right, game 5. This is the one you go first. Let's go Eagles versus the Cardinals. Our Philadelphia Eagles versus our Arizona Cardinals.
Oof.
Wow, 2 Alabama quarterbacks.
Right. I'll go Cardinals, man. I like the Cardinals. Right, Cardinals, Eagles. Yeah, I like the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm going Eagles on this. I think Jaylen Hurts has got an axe to grind. I think Tua Tagovailoa, if you remember, he was the reason that he transferred to Oklahoma. Right, he got hurt. Tua came in, and then I don't think Hurts. I mean, he pretty much lost his job. So to market himself, he knew he had to go somewhere competitive, and he went to Oklahoma. And there's something about that coach and Oklahoma quarterbacks. If you look at Baker Mayfield and you look at Kyler Murray. Even Johnny Manziel was Texas A&M, but Kyler Murray, Hurts, the guy that's a quarterback school. So I'm gonna go with the Eagles on this for my mild upset, and I believe our lady Kristen Nuss is also going with you with the Cards. All right, cool. Last one, I'm gonna go first on this. This is the last game of the Pick Six. We have the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the New Orleans Saints. Ooh. As to the question of can anyone stop the Chiefs, I say right now nobody. And maybe in the Super Bowl or maybe in the late game, maybe as the facts change, so will my opinion. But for now, no one's beating the Chiefs, and that includes the Saints, including the Saints at home. It's going to be a big, big match because the Saints are tough to beat at home. Even with the backup quarterback, they're still productive, and the defense is going to be ready for him. And they don't like losing. But nah, I got to go with the Chiefs on this.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick and simple. Yeah, the Chiefs for me, that's the way to go.
All right, Kristen Nuss, she's a prisoner of the moment. She's a Louisiana girl, so she's like, listen, got to go with my Saints.
Oh, no. The best. I was going to say, too, is she going to pick the Saints?
It's like, oh, my God, it's almost like you knew she was, right? So, yep, she's going with the Saints. She's from New Orleans. From Louisiana. So, listen, nothing wrong with them, right? She's been right. She's been right 10 out of 13 times too, right? Yeah, so where are we going? We are going with our next section, ladies and gentlemen. I think I have 2 questions, but let's put it up and let's see what goes. This is to shame or not to shame. Yes.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Rob McLean, to shame or not to shame. The head coach from Auburn just got fired, but is expecting a $21.7 million payout. Shame or no shame?
I mean, a huge shame. on the university, because this is like the third coach that they've had come through and leave. And then, Gene Chizik went where and is super successful now. It's just like, I don't know what Auburn's doing, but this just shows the ineptitude of college football. Like, you're paying coaches and you're going to buy them out for $21 million, yet you can't find a way to give your players any extra scholarship money. Like, it's pretty crazy, man. Yeah, just shame on Auburn, shame on college football, shame on that whole system.
Shame on capitalism, dude. I mean, capitalism has a problem with minimum wage, but they don't have a problem with maximum wage, all right? Shame on them because, $21 million to coach football. Listen, I think coaches deserve to get paid, and I think their families need to be taken care of. But like you said, where the coaches get the cake and the players can't get a crumb, shame. Honk my horn, baby. Shame. Rob, to shame or not to shame, the Vikings on the final play of the half against the Patriots, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got called for pass interference on a Hail Mary on Gronkowski. Shame or no shame, Rob?
No shame, because when it comes down to Hail Mary, you should be doing whatever. I think it's a bit more shame on the refs, because when it comes down to a Hail Mary, unless it's egregious, it absolutely should not be a pass interference call, because there's a lot of, fighting and wrestling for position that could be considered, any of that could be considered, pass interference. So I think it's just like basketball, where it's like, once it comes down to the end of the game, the skill has to do out, and the refs got to take a step back and just let the game kind of play out on its own. So a little bit of shame on that.
Rob, I got to go shame, man. I got to go shame. Gronk doesn't even get those calls when he's actually running a route. Gronk is like this big guy. You hang on him and you yank his hand down, but because he's so strong, he never gets the PI call. But in this case, for the first time in 28 years, I believe, someone can message me. For the first time in 28 years, Rob, someone gets called for pass interference on a Hail Mary. And it happened, of course, with our boy, Tom Brady. Shame. Rob, before we go to quick question, I really hate that if you're voting for prom queen and someone that doesn't deserve to be prom queen gets prom queen, we as human beings tend to get mad at the queen instead of the people that voted, right? Like, totally. You boxing or MMA, you see a decision, this guy gets the nod, and you're like, oh my God, I hate that dude. And I think my energy is so angry at like them babying Tom Brady that sometimes I get mad at Brady, and I can't, because Brady's my boyfriend. And two, I just wanted to point that out, a human nature thing that we as human beings need to do a better job at, okay?
Agreed.
All right, Rob, this is our segment, our last segment. Quick question. Rob McLean, quick question. The Cleveland Indians are going to change the name. They're going to keep the name for 2021, but when they change the name, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Big things up. Times are changing.
Yeah, hey, I say thumbs up because I was torn, but when I saw what the possible new name was, the Cleveland Tribe, I'm down with that. A thumbs up. Quick question, Rob. Should certain fouls be an automatic point in mixed martial arts, regardless if they're accidental or not?
Yes. It's hard to say. I would say yes, but very, very specific. If you have to stop the fight, I feel like that should be a point, because that's when you start messing up the flow of the fight.
Yeah, I think John Jones should have. John Jones is poked. Probably have like 11 eye pokes and hasn't lost a point for one. They're giving these guys more breaks than Lindsay Lohan in court. The judge is like, okay, it's the last one, the one after this, I'm warning you. Sometimes they need to send a message, and this point this weekend resulted in the draw, and I'm glad they took a point. Quick question, Rob. Oh, we already did this. Who wins between Figueiredo and Demetrious Johnson? I said Mighty Mouse. You said?
I said Mighty Mouse.
You said Mighty Mouse. Quick question, Rob. Will the Washington football team win the NFC East?
I think they will. I do think they will. I think the best quarterback in that division is going to win that division from this point right now, and I think that's Alex Smith.
Quick question. The answer is yes. I think they do, and I think they beat the Eagles to seal the Eagles' fate. Quick question, Rob. Will the Jets go 0-16?
I think they're trying to go 0-16. So yes.
Yeah. They'll only be the third team. There's a lot of teams that never won a game, but like the 16-game season, they would only be the third team that finished 0-16. I believe the Lions were one, and I believe more recently there was someone
The
else.
Colts.
No, Colts are
No, they were 0-16 to get with Curtis Painter.
no, but that was 0-11. They didn't finish. They didn't lose 16 games.
I thought it was 16.
Yeah.
Oh, who knows?
I'll look into that. Actually, let's save that question for next week. We could do a little.
All right.
I could do a little self-correction. Quick question: will Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant get along?
I mean, they already getting along, but will they get along in the long term? I don't think so. I think that's a really short-lived.
Everybody's getting along until you
relationship.
lose. Everyone's getting along until you lose, and I don't think so. I think they are, like you said, are now, but it's very interesting to see how they do. Quick question: did Paul George deserve a max contract? 5 years,
no.
5 years for $226 million.
Goodness, man, that is an atrocity. I'm sorry. Quick question or not, Paul George shouldn't have been a max contract in Indianapolis. He was still trying to get a max contract in Indianapolis before he broke his leg. Like, no, he's not a max contract player right now. Crazy.
Nice. No, I say
So-
no. I know. No, I'm with you. Emphatic. That's an emphatic hell no. That's a Vince McMahon.
Yes.
That's a Vince McMahon hell no. Okay. All right. That concludes quick question. I have one little shout out to go before my shout out is more of about a sports memory. And so for everybody listening, this is a volleyball thing. There was a kid when I was coaching Hunter High School. A kid went to Fort Hamilton High School, and he lost his arm to cancer. And he only had 2 wishes before he died. He didn't have long to go. And his wishes were to make it through, to play volleyball, to get cleared to play volleyball, and play an entire season with the people that he cut his teeth with. And 2, to make it to his 18th birthday. So this kid, this is in 2013, right? He ended up, that's him in the middle. Watch the cover with the one arm. He's like self-covers with one arm. His name is Aikido. And he just brought tears to everybody's eyes because he just wanted to play. And this is a kid that only had like 2.5 months to live. But if you look at him and if you look at the videos, you would think he's the happiest guy in the world. You know, it was almost like a Lou Gehrig thing, like "Don't cry for me. I'm one of the luckiest guys on the face of the earth." So not really a shout out, but just a Facebook memory for people who are playing sports and people say you can't do nothing. Oh, you're too short to play this position. Oh no, you're better suited that. If you want to do something, just work as hard as you can and then come back at people, with results. But believe in yourself, love each other. With this COVID thing and we just lost people close to us. Actually, it's 5 hours ago, right? Which is why this broadcast is going to come out Wednesday. We both lost some people, and the 2 messages I got is: if you're in sports, challenge yourself. If you want to do something, just work as hard as you can, man. And when you think that you did enough, you got to do more. And after that, more after that, and then after that, more after that. The second thing is life is short. Life is short. Love each other. Call a friend. Tell them you miss them. Tell them you love them. Stay good. Stay well. Rob.
Absolutely. Yeah, just to piggyback off that, show everybody love, man. Like I don't think you shouldn't have tough love, but don't show love and then in the next hand, when the person turns around, smack them on their back and say, go do whatever you think is right. Show people how to love one another. And maybe your way of loving somebody is different, but that action is never different. So keep showing people love, even if it's tough love, to let them know you're there for them. But if you don't have love for somebody, leave them the hell alone, man.
Yeah, how about that? Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, man, dude. So that's all I got, Rob. No movie of the week, but I do recommend Unbroken, which is a Laura Hildebrand book, and the movie. That's my book of the week suggestion, which was last week as well, and my movie suggestion, Unbroken, World War II junk about true story about Louis Zamperini, a track star who had a body that wouldn't quit. But much love for me, Rob. Anything you want to say to these people, these cats?
Much love, man. Stay healthy, stay happy.
Well, Rob McLean's got love for you, and you know what? Once again, for the third week in a row, so do I. So for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPad at Starbucks, for all of you on your Droid, for all of you on your desktop who runs the world, old school, for Rob, keep it McLean. This is episode 46 of Sports Debate Tuesday. I am Jason DeBiss, and we are out. So long. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.